I'm going to make the last of this trim strips that I made to go between the baggage compartment floor and the side panels. I decided I needed something back there in the back aft baggage compartment because that side panels were only 16 thousandths aluminum. So I made the first of those brackets to go back there, and then this Kydex is a little bit floppy, and just to trim it out, it'd be a lot nicer to have it trimmed out with these this little angle trim here. So what the deal is, you can see this tray, this angle tray that was put in the factory when the airframe was built, helps support the baggage compartment floor to keep it from flopping around and give more tie down to it, more air spot to tie it down to. And then also the side panels can tie into that to keep them from flopping. On the old airframe, the side panels just came down, and then the baggage compartment panel and the floorboards and stuff just came down alongside of them, and so there was a gap between the two of them. There's a lot of tolerance in there, and so the panels flopped around on the bottom, and the floorboards don't exactly meet up to them, and crap gets down in between the two of them. And anyway, it's this will clean that up. That's going to keep most of the crap from getting down in between the floorboards and the side panels and help stiffen those side panels up. So I've got those all done, except for this last one here. There's a 14.5 inch piece that goes in here where the underseat storage goes, or underneath the rear seat. Oh, that's the last piece to build. This piece is for the forward baggage compartment, and I'm just going to make it identical to that. And what he did was drill down through the floor and through this angle on the bottom, and he'll put number 8 screws in there, and then it goes through the side into the side panel, and I just put number 4 screws and nut plates. So I put number 8 nut plates on the bottom here and number 4 nut plates on the side, and I use a regular 4 truss head screw to go in through the side panels. And then on the bottom, I use a number 8 flathead screw to go in there, and I'll punch a countersink in that panel and kind of countersink this wood a little bit, pretty like I did back here on the back. You can see how the rear baggage compartment floor is countersunk. So now that rear floor is all done. This baggage compartment floor, forward baggage compartment floor, is drilled, pilot drilled for the bottom. I still need to drill those and put the nut plates in there. And on this right side, the side holes are drilled, nut plates are riveted on. The left side there, I've got all the pilot holes drilled for that baggage compartment floor, and I still need to do the ones here for this under seat storage. Basically, I started out with a piece of 16 gauge stainless steel. It's not 16 gauge, it's 16,000 stainless steel. And I had a sheet of it. I'd cut a bigger piece, I think it was like 10 feet long or something like that, 8 feet long and 4 feet wide. Anyway, I cut it down to a size that was more manageable. And I tried to cut it on the shears. Of course, the combination shears there, they wouldn't touch it, but I've got a big heavy duty shear that I've cut even plate steel with and stuff, and it wouldn't touch this stuff. You can see it made a partial cut, but it's just so thin and soft and so tough that it just mangled the cut pretty bad right on both ends. So I wound up making all these cuts by hand. And what I did is I just took a ruler and measured over 2 inches and marked it, and then took a straight edge and marked the lines this way 2 inches, and then took these shears, and they work pretty good for cutting. It cuts hard, but yeah, they work the best of anything to cut. I have to sharpen the shears up after every cut. I sharpened them up after making this last cut, and they're already dull, they can be sharpened again. But they cut through it, even dull, they'll cut through it just a little harder. Now, when you cut with those, the problem, you don't make a nice clean cut. You wind up with little dimples or little divots every place the shears. When you make one cut like this, then you got to advance the shears, and every place you do it pushes the metal one side up and the other side down, and you wind up with these little divots here all the way along at about every 1.5 2 inches, something like that. So we got those. We get a finished piece like this one. Actually, this one would have been full length, but I cut off the 14.5 inches. Actually, I cut that to 15 inches, so I got a little trim work on it, space on it to trim it off. But anyway, what I did with those then is I'll take a bucking bar, a block of steel, and a body hammer, and I could have used a ball peen hammer, but I used the body hammer for that. And I just put it on this block of steel with these divots up and just lightly tapped them till I got them most of the way down. These dies that I made for the bead roller for makeup, it's 6/10 of an inch in from the edge of this upper beading die to the maximum radius on that bead. Actually, it's a little more than 6/10. It's probably 7/10 or so to the maximum radius. But I run that 6/10 in, and then I can run those edges in, and that'll just turn a little flange on the edges of those flat panels to give it a little bit of strength, and it helps give it a little bit of rigidity, helps true up those edges, take some of the little wows out of them from the cutting that a little bit more, and it gives a little bit of rigidity, and it also pulls that edge over so that it helps pull the panel down tight against the next panel that it's screwed to. Take a rule and just measure 6/10 from the outside edge in on those. Mark it with the fine line marker, 6/10. Now I take straight edge, draw a line on those, and that's where my and I can just run that line in to the outside edge of that bead roller, and it'll just turn that edge over, flange that edge over just a little bit. So the cuts are a little bit rough on that. They're not as nice as what you could make in the shear, and of course they're not perfectly straight either. And I'm not really going to try to straighten those up to make those perfectly flat. It really doesn't make any difference on this. But I want to try to true those edges up a little bit, just flatten them out nice. And so I just use a file, and kind of a draw file technique. I can't use a full draw file technique because I'm just holding this by hand. And you can see when it goes across there where the low spots are from the cuts and the divots are and stuff. And just file until you get a nice uniform color on that edge. And sometimes I'll turn the file and file straight along it real lightly, and then I can tell where the high spots and low spots are, if there's any real peaks or valleys in there that need to come down. I cut several of these off with hand shears on there, and I've avoided getting any of the little spears for the most part. This piece is the first one I got a little spear on, and so I stabbed myself a little bit with it and got a little blood on here. Stainless steel, that'll come off, and the blood and the poke will heal, so it's not a big deal. I'm going to watch it on aluminum and some other things because the blood will cause corrosion on it and stain it. As I file that down, you're looking at it in the light, you can see there's a different shine on that where the low spots are, where the real divots are in it. And once you get them all down, then you got a nice uniform glare or color on the top of that, on that metal. And then just turn the file lengthways to smooth that edge out a little bit more, and then file at a little bit of an angle and just go down the edge of it to take the burr off of it. Okay, so that piece is now edged and set pretty nice. Well, I'll go ahead and trim up. I didn't do the ends because I've got to trim these up, and I'll just put this shears on here and just go around and roll that edge a little bit. Okay, that's pretty good. I'll take that over to the bead roller and roll that edge on there. I'll take this piece of metal, got the bead roller tightened down, just finger tight, and I'll put this piece of metal with this line right on the edge of this upper roller, and just let it feed through there. So it winds up turning that just a little bit, so that'll help stiffen that up, and it'll also make it so when this edge goes down on a piece of metal, it holds tight on there, and it's in there just a little ways, so we wind up with a little bend on that, a little flange on that. It just broke it over, the edge over just a little bit, but then it starts to flatten it out just a little bit so that it doesn't cut into the piece that it's going down against. So there's just a little flat rolled back on that. And now we've got a little flange on both sides. On the point of that brake, yeah, on that press brake, in there you can't really see where the radius of the bend is on there. You can't really see where the bend radius is, so you make a line where you want your bend and you can't really see it. Well, I just took a measurement on the thing, and it's exactly 4/10 of an inch from the apex of that that bend to the outside edge of this lower bar, of the fingers of the bend to the outside edge. I don't know, what would that be, the male part of the die, and the outside edge of the female part of the die then is exactly 4/10 of an inch. So I just marked my my piece 4/10 of an inch out from the center line, and then I can line that up with the face on this bar, and that just so happens to be my line already was from setting these this fold on this little bend here that I made for that. So anyway, I'm going to try that. See, once you get that under there, you can't see where your line is and how it lines up with the... So by doing that, maybe that'll work. Let's see how that works. Yeah, that puts the bend right on the correct point. I've marked these holes for the screws to hold down, and I marked them pretty close to the same position they were on the other side over there. Tray in here angles forward, is cut off as it goes forward. It's not the full width like it is back here in the back. So I had to put this in here quite a ways closer to the sidewall than what it did on the rest of them. And then I marked the ones that go in the sidewall. Here I'll put one here and one here. Again, we don't need one back here because of that hold down screw for the seat belt attachment. There's a tray that goes in here in this underneath seat storage compartment tray, and I have a cutoff from that tray that I put underneath it for a spacer, so I get the height right on these two screws that go in here. Because it's tight in here and close to the side panels, I've got the tight space drill, angle drill bit attachment here for these, and a number 40 drill for a pilot hole. These holes in the side panel now will be drilled out for an 1/8 inch with an 1/8 inch drill for the number 4 screws, clearance holes. These holes through the base get drilled out with a number 19 bit for clearance for number 8 screws. I take a large drill bit. This, I don't know what size that is. Anyway, I'll burr these holes with that. And put the dimpling dies in. I have to screw this piston in all the way to get the dimpling dies in. Now I'll take the dimpling die in the number 8 screw hole. So that puts a dimple in that for the flathead. Puts a countersink in it for the flathead screw. A flathead screw fits in there flat.